not under any kind of illusion that we're going to ever get rid of them. But if we define a certain area that we at least want to keep them at bay, what sorts of effort is that going to take? This is probably the most applied research I've ever done, because at the end, we want to hand over a prescriptive starting point to management. Joe, master's student, is following up on the experimental situation that we think is going to happen with this experiment of reduced lionfish abundances in some areas and high lionfish abundances in others, to see what the level of competition is with native mesopredators, animals that seem to have similar habitat and prey needs as the lionfish. And he's using a combination of large-scale observational studies with, again, some chemical ecology, similar to some of our other students. And recall that I mentioned that they are voracious predators on native prey. This is all, I don't know if you guys can see this, but these are all fish taken from the stomach of one lionfish. They just eat and eat and eat. Okay, and last but not least, Ileana is our single branch of the climate change backbone. And she's a PhD student looking at how climate change affects predator-prey interactions. And she's using a combination of temperature and PCO2 to look at not only the morphological effects, but also some of the physiological and behavioral effects, which is taking this to the next level of adding some ecological reality. By also adding in the predators to see how warming and PCO2 affects how prey respond to predators and how susceptible they are to predation. And again, you might notice that's not a fish. So she's got all kinds of probes and bivalves and things like that. So she's got all kinds of cool stuff going on. So that's a crash course overview of what we're doing in the Fish Ecology Lab. Yeah, thank you.
We have time for questions.
Yeah.
Chris, the question of whether artificial reefs attract existing fish or produce new fish, is there any application for the kind of work that Ernst does looking at the history of isotope signatures in answering that question?
We've actually recently got funded to do just that.
Really?
Yeah. So ask me again in like 3 years. Maybe after we go through the next round of all the faculty members giving these talks, I should be able to. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
I'm just kind of curious about the hybridization of fishery-dependent and fishery-independent research. How does that work exactly?
Well, fishermen are using a variety of methods, right? The fishery-independent methods are highly standardized, but they weren't using any kind of standardized hook and line methods. They were using vertical long lines, horizontal long lines, camera pods, etc. So we created a timed drop, standardized hook and line method. And the reconciliation part that was our standardized hook and line method like the fishermen use. But then we cataloged all the different methods that the fishermen were using. And this is where the reconciliation gets messy. Because even with a small number of participants, the variety was all over the board. So the reconciliation part it's not clear how we're going to move forward on that right now. Yeah. So that, yeah. Sure.
I have one question.
Yeah, go for it.
So you have done fish stock assessment using their data, FWC data, right?
Somewhat, yeah.
Have they done the same thing? They can't just go collect the data without analyzing and do this assessment. So how are your results compared with theirs if they have done it?
Well, we haven't. Yeah, I mean, we haven't analyzed the same sets of data. I mean, for example, Denora, went into like 10 years or so of trawling data across all of the Tampa Bay region, looking at pinfish, which is, if you plot out abundance of all the 200 or 300 fish that we have in this area, you get pinfish up here, and everything else is down here. It's by far the most abundant fish out there. And yet, nobody's ever really looked at the population dynamics of that fish. Yeah, they're collecting a lot of data, and they're super eager to have people analyze those data. So there's a wealth of information next door that people would love for students to jump on. I'm not their representative, but I know that's the sentiment over there. So,
Thank you.
yeah.